I was about to ask, like, obviously there's so many different kind of like, a bit like conversation you went to at the beginning, like there's so many very expensive, very well-traveled culinary schools that you would go to. Is that something you've gone down that rabbit hole or stayed away from that?
No, it's not that I have gone down the rabbit hole. I haven't chosen to. I really fell into this by a love of food for one. And then I think it was 2016. I had like literally a couple of thousand followers on social media. Someone reached out to me and said, I'm researching for a daytime cooking show on BBC Two. It's going to be called Yes Chefs. It's a competition for home cooks. We think you'd be a great contestant.
And you were a great contestant.
I wasn't bad. So it wasn't like, food for me was always just this real passion. But I never thought I'd work in it. And then when that came up, and I've written on the application form, who's your favourite chef? I had this love of Indian food. I'd written Atul Kochhar. He turns out to be the judge on the day. We win the show.
You're like, yes, this is good. This is good.
It was good karma. But the one bit was...
What year did you win that, sorry?
2016.
2016, yeah.
You had to cook a signature dish. And I remember buying his first book, and there was this sea bass curry he'd done, and it was like always my interpretation of it at home when I was growing up. You adapt it. I remember I have the ingredients in front of me. He walks out, like my hero, and he looks at me and he's like, I think I know what you're going to cook. It's pretty much your recipe. So I've made it, took it through. And this was the moment that made me think I should be working in food. He took a bite and he said nothing. And about 10 seconds later, it's like, you've absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
And it was one thing my friends and family saying I can cook, but a Michelin star chef that
awesome.
I'd looked up to, seen on TV, said it. And after the show, he went, Chris, you want a real job? Come work with me in Mayfair. So I moved straight to London from living at home, having never really worked in a restaurant, to working for him. And I just fell into that. So I didn't go down the route of like, I'm going to go and train at culinary school.
What did that work look like? What did you actually do? I don't, because I think of
I've
a chef and I always think like, what
I've worked
do you
in
do?
the kitchens, to be fair. I started off as a pot washer and went on to be a sous chef and did a bit of starters and stuff and the odd couple of mains. I didn't train up or anything. I was just fast in the kitchen on pot wash, so they moved me up. So I know what it's sort of like now, but I'll let you explain it all properly,
Yeah, not that I've got 10 years experience in the kitchens, but from the experience I had with
It's
Atul.
fast-paced, sweaty, hard work.
Yeah,
That's
there
what
you go.
is.
And it's like, you've got to have a love for it because you're in there a long time. And it's like a real buzz. I can almost look at it like sport. There's a build-up, you're doing all the prep. The service comes in and you're on this high and everyone's working together. And when things are going well, it's like harmony. But it really is teamwork. And it started with me working around all the different sections, spending time with all the different chefs. And it was fascinating. It was a predominantly Indian kitchen. Yeah. And I'm cooking with a lot of spices. And I was just like a sponge in there. I'm like, I'll do whatever gets thrown at me. And I learned so much.
Yeah. Did you start at a certain, like a sous chef and then, or did you just sort of get thrown into a bit of everything?
I just got thrown in.
Almost?
Atul was amazing with me and just literally had me work around the kitchen. And I was there sort of 6 months.
So he just says, cook the fish dish and you start cooking the dish.
Well, it got to that point from shadowing and learning and then obviously doing all the prep, doing the garnish, chopping onions for 10 hours at the start. And then I literally got to a point where it's like, it almost reaffirmed my passion wasn't cooking Michelin star food, which I love, by the way, but it was, what I miss is showing people how to cook at home.
So you love the teaching side as well.
Yeah, and that's when I left and I started in London, didn't know anyone, and I'm like, right, I need to start getting out there. Who can I meet? What can I do? This is 7 years ago, before TikTok. You couldn't post videos on social media. So the goal back then was massively television, books, traditional media, with a bit of social media. But it's amazing how fast the landscape's changed.
Did you feel, actually, just quickly going back to in the kitchens, cooking for the guy, which is one of your almost heroes in the whole cooking industry, was it nerve-wracking? Was it hard work? Did you feel like you were putting extra pressure on yourself? Or did you just really absorb it all up and think, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? I'm here.
That's kind of what I thought. It was like being in a film or something. It was like, but, if I knew what I knew now, maybe my decisions and thoughts might have been different. But I went in with a totally open mind from the countryside to Berkeley Square in Mayfair. If anyone's ever walked through there at midnight, it's absolute scenes. And I'd come out and my eyes were open to this city of London and the people that you see around there when I'd leave work. So I just went in with an open mind and just worked as hard as I could. And
were you, when you were going to bed at night, were you dreaming about, because I remember when I first started in the kitchen, I wasn't cooking for mates, so I really had hardly any experience. I was dreaming about the recipes in my head, like how they were being made, just because we were doing it so much, so many times.
The one thing that, because I did Celebrity MasterChef, Kurt.
Yes, you did. I forget actually. Yeah.
What was your signature dish?
My signature dish, I did this raka lamb with this red wine reduction sauce and these honey glazed carrots. And it was pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie.
But what happened on one of the episodes? Did you forget to take a pip out of something?
Oh my god, pears. I didn't.
Just a pip.
Only like 100 or 200 of them that I did, and it tasted great. Just don't bite through them.
Was this the one where you have to cook for like it'd be the NHS?
Yeah. It was like
the Royal Lifeboats or something like that.
We were cooking for like the Horse Society of Jumpers, or I don't know, something. There was a lot of cooking. But the one thing that I was going to get to is that I feel like when you repeat your meals so many times, I ended up like eating so much food. Like within a kitchen, it pained me to bin stuff. So I just like, I've got to eat it. Like you're pretty fit. You stay in shape. Like how do you deal with that side of the kind of cooking?
Did you love something and now you hate it because you've eaten it that many times?
The first week there, when you don't realise what goes into fine dining food, the richness, the salt, the butter, the cream, it tastes amazing.
I've never seen butter goes like water.
Yeah, well, like the macaroni sauce, which is like what you think of like chicken tikka sauce. I'll get me the butter. I'll bring a block. No, the case, and you like put it in. But it's delicious. But then the first week, I'm in my element. I'm like eating it. I felt so rough a week, and all the people are watching me going, "He ain't gonna last eating this." But then I was just eating. I'm very mindful about what I eat. I used to run competitively, 800 meters. That was like my life growing up. And if I could have done anything else, it probably would have. Wish I'd put more into that maybe, and would have give that a go. But
hey, you're doing pretty good, man.
You're doing all right.
Teaching a lot of people. You got a book out. Things are going great. So you chose a good path.
But I'm so glad it worked out this way, and I love it. But that was my other passion. So food and exercise that go hand in hand. I've always been mindful about it. And if I'm at home, I'll eat, fairly healthy or whatever I'm filming. I wouldn't deem it as healthy, quote unquote, but it's just fresh. And then if I'm out, I'll eat whatever, because that's the joy of eating out. I'm there for the experience,
You just said something interesting I saw on social media, but like it was this kind of like weird mentality that people have kind of thought that to go on a diet, you have to eat healthy. Like it's this weird reverse psychology where it's actually eating healthy doesn't mean you're on a diet. It just means you maybe eating clean or less sauce and all that. Like how do you deal with it when people are like, okay, what should I eat if I want to go on a diet, or what should I like? Whereas, if anything, my personal opinion is like work out more, eat less. Well, it's going to add up the right way.
I'm pretty old school. I eat less and move more is my big thing. Not that I'm giving anyone advice. I have to say, in my opinion, just stop eating as much rubbish and do a bit more exercise. It's probably very basic, and it's not necessarily about how far do you want to go with it, but how much you eat. It's the quality of what you are eating. But then I think food's one of the greatest joys in life, and it's there to be enjoyed. And I think, in my opinion, it's a shame that people will go, "Oh, I'm not eating gluten. Are you celiac?" No, but it's trendy. There's people out there that would do anything for that. And there's other people, the other side of the world, that have access to no food. And you're telling me you're vegan because you've seen it on TikTok. Do you know all about the implications of the avocados that you're eating on your toast? I just think, just eat proper food. And just be educate
and
yourself.
do it all for the right reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Don't just jump on a bandwagon for this and that. If you want to try
the food is medicine, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like
you get what you eat.
You see people take all these vitamins, all these supplements all day, and they're like, bloody hell, that's a lot. Like if you just ate this amount of variety of foods, you're gonna get that in so much,
for sure,
in abundance, literally.
How's Instagram and everything with food now? Because this is a step forward for you, isn't it? This is, like you said, when you first started, it wasn't there. It wasn't a thing. How is it? How's filming it? How's creating this? Because you are a business now. You are everything.
Yeah.
You're a brand. You're yourself. You, what you do, what you represent, what you say.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's why I have to be careful.
In my opinion.
It is. And Instagram's changed rapidly. And I think it was probably the pandemic where it really upped its game, and everyone was on there. And
because through the pandemic you were actually teaching kids how to cook.
I had a cookery school 3 days a week, and that kind of kept me sane, you know, in the flat on my own doing these things. And I still get messages from people from then going, "Chris, my my son and the dad are cooking that chicken curry every Friday. It's their little thing, and you've inspired them to cook. And that for me is like,
that's awesome.
That's
cool.
what it's all about.
I think that is amazing because it's the fact that we see all the kids these days, they're on phones.
Yeah.
They'll be tucked away on their iPad, on this and that, on the PlayStation, or doing things like this. So to actually reunite a family together through cooking is something so special. And the memories that kid will actually have with his family it'll be like you cooking for your family. It'll be something you end up loving to do and perhaps going into that industry.
And to think one of my recipes has created a memory in someone else's house. I love that. But it's changed in that it was literally a picture of me dinner when I started. No lighting, photography. And I'm at a point where I need to and want to invest in getting a team to come and help me film because I love to cook and I love to chat, as you're probably gathering, at the same time, preferably, with a pan in front of me. But I'm not a videographer. I'm not a lighting engineer or sound or a techie. And I really don't enjoy... I've never been into like technology in that way, and I love Instagram and what it does, but the quality of what I see, a lot of younger, I guess you call them content creators now. That wasn't a word when I started. Not that I'm old, but that's how quickly technology's changing, right?
Makes you feel old though, doesn't it now?
And I don't enjoy that bit, so it's like I need to go into there. But what I do think it's nice for is I can use it as a platform to showcase what I've been up to. I've been away cooking for Aston Martin. I can get that on Instagram and share the experience with others, and then other brands that I work with as well. So it's a great.
Is it nice like them opportunities when it's like, okay, I know you like your cars and Aston Martin, and they say, do you want to come to where were you outside of Monaco and south of France and French Riviera, and you're
Silverstone as well.
I just want go do a little bit of cooking and drive some nice cars and get paid at the same time.
It was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I'm a young lad, grew up in England. Aston Martin, James Bond, dream brand. I want that car one day. I always have done. I want an Aston, and the team there.
I could see you driving an Aston.
Really could. I've had a taste of it, and I want more. Maybe they lured me in to become a customer.
That's what they do. They get you. Like early on in your career, when you're like, okay, that's the first brand that's allowed me the opportunity. And like they write your name in a little black book, being like, you better buy one in 20 years.
You feel obliged to as well.
No, none of that. It was like such a passion, and I built a relationship with the team there. The most amazing bunch of people. Unbelievable group, and it was like this opportunity came up to go and cook for the global media launch of the Aston Martin DB12. Went to the south of France, almost 3 weeks in total, and just cooking with the produce down there, meeting amazing people from around the world, talking about cars. It was like, wow, this is like a real pinch me moment, and it was nice actually to do something. I talk about sharing it on social. It was actually offline. I was cooking for real people, real guests,
face to face,
fresh produce, and getting that interaction with, I would call it a customer. They weren't paying for my food, but the guests coming up.
They're still sitting down. They're excited to see what's going to be put on their plate.
Totally. And then coming out to talk about the ingredients and ask how their day's been, how's the drive, and getting that immediate feedback, going back to cooking at home from the guests, telling the stories about the produce and all of the rest of it. And that was like a big moment of like, wow, I need to be doing more of that as well, like actually feeding real people.
A re-information of your love for the cooking itself.
I was actually just thinking, because you say obviously you love cooking, you love teaching people to cook, and you love running like you did in your younger days. Have you ever thought about doing something like, just throwing an idea out there, like it's sort of a travel program, except for you're running from destination to destination. You're doing it for charity.
Well, it's more than 800 meters.
No, it will be. It'll be
amazing.
more of a long distance one where you run, I don't know, you run into different towns around, could be around London, for example, and you go and cook, you do a masterclass, you run to the next one, you cook, you do a masterclass. You've got to do a certain amount in a set amount of hours.
This is really good, actually.
We should write this down, and we sell the meals at a pop-up to raise money for the charity.
Exactly,
and it'll pay for, or it will fund the next step.
New pair of trainers.
A new pair of trainers. This is great.
Just thought about it then.
Love this. We should do that. But I think
whether it's around London, whether it's in the countryside or
do
wherever,
a British one and then expand into Europe and then go worldwide.
And you can be in the follow-up car in an Aston Martin.
DBX 707.
Exactly.
We all love Astons.
But in terms of cars, you boys love them. But that DB12 was unbelievable, and the experience I had.
That's crazy.
I don't take any of that for granted. One of the greatest things I've done professionally and personally, and to be around the most amazing people. We had Ollie Smith out there talking about wine on a night time. And for me, just to get my hands on the fresh produce there and not have to try and film it and edit it, it was like that's getting done by someone else. That's my dream.
It's nice being in the moment.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that within our industry that sometimes all of us get a bit caught up on. Like, I think Kurt more so, he chills out. Like, he's like, things get done for me around him. But like, actually being able to relax and enjoy the moment is I think it's 1 in a million these days.
Because I don't love the editing and stuff, like what you were saying. Have you ever felt that it's actually almost killed your love for food because you have to be your everything? Now, like you said, you have to be your editor, you have to be your filmer, you have to be your light man, and you're the cook as well. Has nearly taken it away from like, oh, I don't love this anymore because I'm having to do this.
Oh, I'll always love food, and I love my journey, what I'm trying to achieve and what I'm achieving. But that side of it, I don't love. But when I'm in an environment where I don't need to think about that, I would, like, for instance, in the south of France, I was literally in the moment.
You thrive.
Not thinking about anything else. I put so much pressure on myself, and just being away in that environment, I felt like I was thriving and enjoying it. And looking back at everything I've done, you think, and you're probably the same. I wish I just enjoyed the moments a little bit more, and I'm starting to really get better at that and just being, right, I'm present, I'm here now, this is what's going on. Take it for what it is right then.
Just before you go anywhere, we just want to say thank you very much to listen to Freedom Impact Trust. We love your reviews, so please do leave them because it helps other people find us, doesn't it, Curtis?
Yes, it does. As AJ said, comment, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, share it with the entire world. Let everybody know that this is the podcast that you guys are listening to, and jot down some comments of any financial advice that you want or any questions. We'll be happy to answer all of them at the best of our knowledge. Thanks again for listening, guys. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we love you all. Yeah,
we just want to thank our sponsors, FINT, the financial investment app, where you can invest from as little as £50 a month. Yes, Curtis, £50 a month. So easy.
I like it. And don't forget that it's all within 3 portfolios. Simplicity. It's easy. Get investing, guys.
Have a great day.
See you later.